Hola, buenos días.
Buenas tardes, buenas noches.
This is Barb.
And this is Estella.
And welcome to
Cafecito
and Crime. So, today our episode or our...
Case.
¿Sí se dice case? ¿Cómo se dice episode?
Today's case.
Yeah, you're right. So today's case is going to be brought to you by Estella.
Grazie.
La Stellota. So what we got today?
Okay, so today I don't know how you're going to feel about it.
Really?
Or anybody else feel about it.
Really? Okay. All right.
Because you don't know. Like, I don't know.
You don't know.
I don't know.
We know that.
No, like, I don't know what I think, what happened.
There's no way. You always know something. There's no way.
I feel like I know. Like, I have an idea. But I'm not like 100% convinced.
There's no way.
And nobody knows to this day.
That is so crazy. But if you would like to join us, please grab your cafecitos.
And let's get started.
What we got?
So for today's case, we're going to Porte, Indiana. Now, it's where the most horrific parts of the case take place, but it doesn't start in Porte.
Okay. So Porte, Indiana.
See.
Oh, because I was thinking Porte, Texas.
No.
And then I was like, really? It's down the street. But no. Okay.
So the fun, random, interesting fact about La Porte, which means the door in French.
La puerta.
La Porte.
La Porte, yeah.
See, is that it is where the Advanced Roomley Tractor Company was established, which actually produced like top-of-the-line agriculture machinery.
Cool.
And they actually developed the very first oil pull tractor, which apparently is like before they used to be powered with horses and stuff. And they developed it to be powered by a hot bulb engine using kerosene.
Okay, that's good.
Yeah.
They like
it
the
changed
horses.
the game.
They like the horses. Yeah, they love the horse. You imagine
It
just
changed the
horses
game.
all day just going and go. Pobrecito.
It changed the game for the agriculture community.
That's what's up.
As
I
it
knew
should.
it. Farmers unite. Yeah.
And then it was Advanced Roomley's most popular product.
That's awesome.
And it was like in the early 1900s. So
Wow. That's awesome.
1850s.
Okay.
And that's when the company was established. But then the actual oil pull tractor was developed in the like 1809.
And so what did they use the oil pull tractor for? Like to actually
something with wheat, like pulling like crops and stuff like that.
Oh, like whenever they would, I know what you're talking about. I've seen them. Like whenever the horses are like walking through the fields and they're like pulling stuff.
Yeah.
Like como con un rake.
Yeah, I think
like
so.
Okay.
I think it looked like a giant ass tractor when I pulled up the pictures, but I'm sure it did a lot of
I'm sure it was a giant ass tractor.
agricultural amazing stuff.
Farmers Unite.
Farmers United.
Yeah. Uh-huh.
So that happened in La Porte, Indiana. That's where it was established.
That's awesome.
That's pretty cool.
Yeah, it is.
So, like I was just telling you, ahorita, the case of Belle Gunness is a doozy.
Belle Gunness.
She was known as Hell's Belle.
Not Hell's Belle.
She is known as the Black Widow of the Midwest. And a whole bunch of other names that she le dieron.
They were calling her out her name and shit.
Yeah. Well, I mean, she kind of deserved it.
She did. Okay.
Oh, yeah. Just saying. Now, she wasn't born Belle Gunness, or at least Belle. Her birth name was Brynhild Paulsdatter Storseth, and she was born on November 11th of 1859 in Selbu, Norway. I think that's how you say it.
I would say her name another time.
Brynhild Paulsdatter Storseth.
Bless you.
Thank you. Gesundheit.
Yeah.
That's German, not Norwegian.
Not Norwegian.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
So her parents were Paul, so that's a little bit normal, and Berit Storseth, and she was, I believe, the youngest out of either 7 or 8 children.
Wow. Okay. They had a family.
They had a family. So the Storseth family lived on a farm, and they raised cows, like sheep and goats and stuff, and they grew them in crops, oats, barley.
It just so happens that La Porte is where they have that's crazy. It actually had to do with the full circle,
Potatoes.
Stop with the potatoes, because our last week's episode about potatoes.
Yeah, that's crazy. And in the winter, obviously you couldn't grow all that stuff because it was the winter. So Paul worked as a stonemason. So it's somebody that, or someone who cuts, prepares, and builds with stone. So Brynhild, as it was very common back then, grew up helping around the farm. Milking, churning butter, I guess. I don't know.
Cheese, I think. No? Okay.
I didn't know you could
Yo no sé. I was just saying.
Oh, I thought you knew.
Like yogurt, maybe?
I don't think...
Can you make yogurt in the farm?
In the 1860s?
Good question.
Because remember, she was born in 1859.
1859.
Yeah, not
okay.
19.
Okay.
18. 18.
No había yogur entonces.
I don't think
no
so.
Había
No
yo play.
froyo?
No había yo play. No.
Okay. Stevia?
Not sponsored.
No,
but
not
could be
stevia. Activia. Active.
No. Like como active?
And también she'd go like draw water, I guess from El Pozo. And she'd watch over cattle, farm stuff. And when she was 14, she was hired out as a dairymaid to a neighbor named Rhoda.
Dude, what is a dairymaid?
I think you help out with the cows and stuff. You want to pull it up real quick?
I will.
I feel like I did pull it up, but I completely forgot. It's like it's escaping my mind right now.
I don't know why I need to know.
But it sounds interesting.
No, I just want to know what maybe one day I want to be a dairymaid. A dairymaid.
What is it? Exactly what it's...
Yeah.
You milk cows?
No, it's a woman employed in a dairy farm.
Oh. Okay. Pero haciendo qué?
That just says, mira. It says woman that is employed in a... Oh, there it is. Dairymaid managed the dairy and her duties include making milking the cows. Well, that you can make milk.
Yeah,
sorry,
milk the cows.
My bad. So milking the cows, making the butter, and the cheese. Te dije que
okay,
hacen
so
queso.
yeah, churning, okay.
As well as ice cream in the summer. Ooh.
So that's what she went to go do when she was 14. She was hired out to the neighbor as a dairymaid. And he described her as, quote, diligent human being that in all ways behaved well, end quote. So I guess she just did her job and minded her business. And she's 14.
We all should.
Yeah.
As we all should.
But other people in town described her differently.
¿Qué andaba haciendo?
They stated that she was, quote, a bad human being.
What?
Capricious and malicious.
Capricious.
And that she had unpretty habits and was a liar from a young age.
She was a little hussy.
Oh, I don't know.
Oh, okay. I don't know.
Maybe.
I
don't know what unpretty habits mean. Are you just
I know, that's what I'm saying.
Maybe like a tomboyish.
Unpretty habits. I mean, obviously,
no, like you don't sit down y cruzas your legs or something.
Yeah, you're not proper.
Yeah, maybe. Yeah, exactly. Maybe not proper.
Like a tomboy. Yeah, definitely. Maybe. Okay.
So when she was 22, she migrated to the U.S. And her older sister, Olina, had moved to the U.S. primero and had settled in Chicago. Okay. And se casó con a man named John Larson and was going by the name of Nellie.
Why does that just the easiest name? John Larson. Just Larson. John. Así se llamaba. The lady.
At least it wasn't John Smith.
Yeah. Oh, that would have been bad. But I'm just saying, like, como is just such an American name. John.
Yeah, John.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
So, like I just said, her sister was not going by Nellie, not Olina. Now, Nellie paid for Brynhild's trip to the U.S. And like a lot of immigrants did when they arrived to the New World, changed her name.
I was about to sing.
You was about to sing Pocahontas song?
Yeah.
No. Not Pocahontas. Fucking Aladdin. So Brynhild changed her name. She was now Bella Peterson.
Let's take a quick break.
Persons of Interest is back, and it's bigger than ever.
That scream will echo in my head for many years.
Taser! She's gonna shoot! Oi! Shot fired.
He had the perfect aim.
I am absolutely stressed at that point. I have no idea where my officers are.
Persons of Interest available everywhere you get your podcasts.
Dude, that's going south from what you were originally.
Pero I'm going to call her Belle because that's as she is known, the name as Belle. So something I actually found kind of interesting because I read a book about this case. And it said that at that time that she migrated to Chicago. So actually by 1890, Chicago's population was 80% of foreign parentage.
Wow, really?
Yeah.
I had no idea.
And Norwegians were a very significant percentage of that. So there was like a very large community of Scandinavians. So it wasn't like they felt out of place or like they didn't have
So they were kind of like...
They weren't isolated,
It's like Texas for whenever people cross over from Mexico. Like it's
a big community.
Acclimated. Like como que hay gente allí, you already kind of know what's going on. Okay, that makes sense though. I had no idea.
Yeah.
Chicago.
Chicago.
Chi-town.
Cuando Belle llegó, pues se fue a vivir con Nelly y su husband. And then she got a job. And it was common for women to find a job as a servant or doing domestic work. So Belle became a laundress, and she like sewed clothes and cleaned clothes
That I
and
don't
cleaned
wanna be.
homes.
That I do not want to be. A milkmaid, puede que sí.
A lo
but
mejor.
That, eso no. No.
And she used her wages that she made from that job para pagarle a Nelly a John because, you know, she was living with them.
Oh, okay. So
como
she would
rent.
pay rent. Okay,
Yeah.
okay.
Belle made it known that she was ready to settle down.
Se quería casar.
Se quería casar and start a family of her own, and was looking for someone to do those things with.
Wow.
Like she was like out here looking.
She was very forward.
Yeah, like she would have been on the dating apps, like if she was in today's
She
time.
was probably going to be on
all the
dating
apps.
All of them.
All the apps.
And she was very social butterfly. And then in the old
1800s.
Old times, yeah.
So she ended up meeting Mads Sorensen. And he was also Norwegian.
Like mad.
Like Mads. Mads.
Like mad. Okay.
Like the Mad Hatter.
Yeah, the Mad Hatter. Okay.
And he was 5 years older than her.
Oh.
And he was a watchman for a very well-known like department store. And they ended up getting married in March of 1884 when she was 24. So she was 24 cuando se casaron. 18. Remember, we're still in 1884.
Okay. So she was 24 cuando se casaron. He was 5 years older than her. So then, okay, I get it. All right.
Yeah.
Pero porque she was out there. Like, ella estaba lista para casarse ya. La compa quería boda.
Yeah. Well, it was something small. Like she wore like just like a black
Por eso,
dress.
pero quería ella, quería,
yeah,
o
and
sea.
she wanted somebody también that was from where she was from at least.
Okay. That's awesome.
Scandinavian at least. Now, Belle was always fond of children, especially kids that were abandoned or orphaned. Because, I mean, at that time, pues eso pasaba bastante, you know, a los niños los dejaban por la calle because you couldn't feed them.
That is so sad.
I know. And so she was well known for her kindness at the Norwegian Sunday school, and she often offered to take care of children who needed a home. So she would want to take them in.
Kind of like a
foster parent.
Like a foster parent. Okay.
Yeah. So it was really sad at the same time because she was so fond of children. But Belle and Mads had a really hard time conceiving in the early years of their marriage.
Can you imagine back then they didn't even know why or what how to fix it? Like they were just like you can't have babies, you know?
When Nelly had her youngest daughter, because I think Nelly had 5 kids. So her youngest daughter se llamaba Olga. And Belle became really attached to Olga. And she always wanted to be taking care of her and everything. But it got to the point where Belle wanted Nelly to let her adopt Olga.
Wow.
And Nelly was like, hell no.
No, that's my child, girl. What's wrong with you?
Yeah. And Belle got so mad that she ever hardly spoke to her sister ever again.
Wow.
Yeah.
But I mean, you can't expect for your sister to give you, girl.
Give you one of her children.
Yeah, it's like you trying to take one of my kids. You
I
can
don't
have my
want
dog.
him. No, I don't want him.
You don't want computer?
No.
Why?
He's your dog.
You can adopt him. Te lo voy a dar porque a lo mejor me dejas de hablar. You know?
Bitch. I need you to stop talking to me.
Okay, I need you to stop talking because you won't give me your dog. You can have him. I'm telling you. You can have this one or that one. Which one you want? Which one you want?
Be like, you go. My daughter, call her downstairs. Take your
one.
pick.
Take your pick. Which one? Pick one. This one can kind of clean. The other one can't.
This one talks back. This
one
one
doesn't. So I mean, it's an easy.
Pooter just wants somebody to be with him. Yeah.
Or you can just eat your balls. Apparently, you will have no balls anymore.
No playing balls.
No playing balls.
So Nelly decía, she was like, yeah, if she wanted to take Olga to spend the night, a couple of days, sure.
Está bien, pero
yeah, but you bring her back.
No
like, I need
pases.
her. Like,
Yeah.
I need her back. So in 1891, Belle and Mads would take in their first child.
Oh, so they started like actually fostering that now.
Yeah, I guess. Well, hold on.
Okay.
So they took in 8-month-old baby girl named Jenny. So Jenny's mom was dying. And Belle begged her to be like, give me your daughter.
What is Belle doing? Just going around asking people for their kids, bro?
Yeah. And, you know, la señora, well, I guess she was like in her deathbed and she.
¿Y qué tal si no se muere?
I mean, pero I guess they knew she was
Gonna
die. So she was like, you just got to promise me that you're going to take care of her and guard her with your life. Y Belle dijo que sí. Now, la señora que se está muriendo, the couple was known as the Olsons, and they were neighbors of Mads and Belle. So they actually had become really good friends over time.
So se conocían. It wasn't like they were, okay.
Not like she just found una
She just
señora que
found
se
una
estaba
señora.
muriendo.
Okay,
Yeah.
okay.
So Jenny's dad, his name was Anton Olsen. And Anton dijo que Belle would bring baby Jenny over and he would see her and he would spend time with her and that she was a happy baby. And time after que pasó tiempo and he got remarried, he tried to gain custody of Jenny back, but Belle took him to court and won.
What?
Yeah.
Pero in what premises? Like, how is that?
I don't know. I guess because she had been taking care of her, su mom se la encargó a ella. Like, I don't know,
I'm gonna need
to be
paperwork,
honest.
bro.
So Jenny Olsen became Belle and Matt's foster daughter. I guess, was it foster? It's not foster because she's
adopted,
yours.
no?
Adopted daughter, yeah. Yeah.
Wow, that's crazy.
So in 1894, Mads and Belle got enough money to buy a candy store. And the store was not
I want a candy store.
Imagine it.
Oh my God.
It's kind of cool, right?
So cool. I think that's awesome.
So the store was not very successful, even though it wasn't a very good location. And less than a year later, after buying the candy store, a fire broke out. So Belle and Jenny were inside the store, and Jenny was already 3 at the time. Salieron corriendo. Belle was yelling fire, pero no les pasó nada. They were able to run outside.
¿Qué se quemó? ¿Qué?
The store had insurance.
Mm-hmm.
So when the insurance people went over to investigate the fire, they didn't find any fragments that belonged to the kerosene lamp that Belle stated exploded and caused the fire.
Okay, I see where you're going with this. I see it.
There was also no broken glass from said lamp. But in the end, Belle and Mads got the insurance payout.
Dang.
With that money,
I think back then they were a little bit
easier.
Yeah, porque ahora, girl.
but some people still do it today, which is kind of like mind-blowing.
Like, yeah, but they have to have I'm pretty sure they have to have proof. Porque no nada más vas a decir,
Se me
this
quemó mi
happened.
casa.
And then, yeah.
I
mean, I don't think that, hopefully it doesn't happen that way.
I'm sure people still try.
I'm sure people still try, yeah.
So with that money... Sorry, I just
sit there and act like that didn't just happen.
I tried to take a sip of my bottle of water, but
Y tenía la tapa, la pendeja, and then she's just putting it down. So, stupid ass. Y luego?
So with that money, the family of 3 moved to Austin, Illinois.
Okay.
This
was too much. La Porte, Texas, Austin, Illinois, La Porte, Illinois. That's a lot.
So Austin was an area on the west side of Chicago, and they bought there a 3-story home. It was pretty nice, and it had pretty bay windows and everything. So estaba así con madre.
I me imagino que haber estado bien padre.
And they settled there for a while and were happy for all intents and purposes. From 1896 to 1898, they took in 4 more kids: Caroline, Myrtle, Axel, and Lucy. Now, it is not really known if any of them were their actual biological children. It is believed that some were, but the other ones weren't.
So she finally was able to conceive. They don't know.
They don't know. But yeah.
What?
And till this day, they don't know if she ever actually had any,
maybe she
from
did.
her.
Oh, wow.
But yeah.
Okay.
So sadly, 2 of them ended up dying in infancy. Caroline died at 5 months and Axel died at 3 months. So, I mean, even now, I know babies can die for multiple SIDS and stuff, but back then, the infant mortality rate was so high that nothing was ever suspicious, if anything happened to a baby, it just, no se murió. The causes of death were given as enterocolitis and hydrocephalus. So, which back then, they used to call it water in the brain. I had never heard of that.
Hydro means water. Syphilis means syphilis. So, water somewhere?
Enterocolitis is an acute inflammation of the bowels, and the hydrocephalus is a buildup of too much cerebrospinal fluid in the brain, which can present itself at birth or be developed later.
And they both died of the same thing?
No, one died of enterocolitis, and the other one died of the hydrocephalus.
Okay.
Yeah. So
maybe those were her kids. Think about it, because if they both had around the same thing and they were, you know what I mean? Maybe those are the ones they must have gotten it, genetically gotten it or something.
Maybe.
Oh, okay.
Now, it seemed like that Sorensen family just couldn't catch a break because on April 10th of 1900, a fire broke out in the home.
Another fire.
Thankfully, nobody was harmed, none of the children, and the house wasn't destroyed. Like, it didn't burn it down or anything like that. And Matz and Belle said that the cause of the fire was due to a defective heating apparatus.
That happens, so it can
Yeah,
happen.
it happens. And only in the fire, only household items were destroyed, which were thankfully covered. And they received an insurance payout for those.
También.
Sí.
Okay. Okay.
So they always made sure that they were covered, right? Just in case anything happened. Even Matt's had a life insurance policy of $2,000. But that policy was due to expire on July 30th of 1900. So that same day on July 30th, Matt decided he was just going to let that policy lapse. Like that last day, it was just going to be active on July 30th, and after that, it was going to expire. So he was going to go get a more expensive one.
Oh, okay. So he was going to get one that had a bigger payout.
Yes.
Okay.
He ended up getting another one on July 30th, that same day, for $3,000. So both policies were actually active on the same day.
So they both they were making sure that their shit was covered.
Yeah.
Like they didn't want anything to happen.
Right.
They weren't going to get their money back.
Right.
Okay, I get you. I mean, more power to you.
Unfortunately, tragedy struck the Sorensen family again. On July 30th,
If you tell me that this man died,
Matt died.
no, bitch. No puede ser. No, I'm not taking it. No. Si ya se pasaron de verga, ya.
So the family physician, Charles Jones, like back then, you could make house calls, like doctors would go to your house. I always think that's so cool.
My uncle in Mexico, he used to go see people in their houses.
Oh,
and I know my stepmom told me that one of their doctors would go see them. So I think that's maybe in Mexico still happens. I don't know.
Maybe, I guess just not here, obviously.
Not here,
but
no.
I think that's
Can
pretty
you imagine
neat.
my doctor coming to see me?
I
She would
know,
never leave my
right?
house. She would never. She would live here.
So the family physician, Charles Jones, arrived at the family home and was told by Belle that Matt had been suffering from a cold recently and that he came home from work early that day. So Matt trabajaba de noche. Remember, he was a watchman, so he would work overnight.
Kind of like a security guard.
Yeah.
Okay,
So he wasn't feeling well, se vino temprano del trabajo, and he told her that, quote, he had a fearful headache. Sounds really bad. Maybe like
fearful headache?
Migraine might.
That's scary.
Yeah.
I don't even know what that fucking is, but that sounded like it was scary.
Belle gave him something for the headache. Quinine powder. Have you ever heard of quinine powder?
Isn't it the BC powder? No.
Apparently, I think that's how you say it. It's Quinine.
I'm looking it up.
So apparently it was a well-known malaria treatment.
What the fuck?
Back in the olden
¿Y
days.
por qué chingados se lo dio para una headache?
Because it relieved fevers and pain.
Kind of like an ibuprofen.
I guess. Now, quinine powder was actually banned in the U.S. in 1994 by the FDA as an over-the-counter medication. She continued and said that Matt...
Oh my God! Wait, before you move on, sorry to interrupt you. Is a compound found in the bark of a cinchona tree?
Mm-hmm.
What?
Yeah.
Not the cinchona.
Cinchona.
Wow. Okay. Sorry about that.
No, you're cool. So she continued to say that Matt went to lie down in the bedroom. Y ella se quedó abajo en las escaleras.
Oh my God, this sounds so familiar. Like this sounds like a lot of our cases.
No, she reminded me of a little bit of
¿Cómo se llamaba?
Judy Buenoano.
Yeah,
and a
Buenoano.
little bit how she grew up. A little bit of Catherine McKnight, the crazy bitch from Australia, like I always call her.
And I don't know why. And the Buenoano was whenever she kept saying, "Oh, it's because they laid down and then they got
her son,
and shit."
yeah.
Fuck that. No. Algo le hizo esta güey. Y luego.
So cuando she was downstairs, he was upstairs, and she was in the kitchen. And when she went to check on him, que ya estaba muerto. Another physician who was in the home cuando llegó Dr. Charles, or Physician Charles, thought that maybe Matt had been given, instead of quinine powder, que esta le dio too much morphine. And that's what killed him.
Oh, because they used to be able to buy morphine over the counter.
Yeah.
Okay.
And I guess back then, and this other physician, his name was J.C. Miller, and he asked Belle que le diera the paper where the powder, I guess cuando lo daban, te lo envían en papel, y así te lo daban. Or with con la receta.
Como
or
a wrap or something?
Yeah.
Okay.
So, and I think that paper had the information of what they were giving you.
Oh, kind of like HEB que le ponen afuera el paper.
Yeah.
Como how do you take it and the side effects and all that.
Yeah,
okay.
yeah. But the actual powder was wrapped in the paper.
Okay.
So J.C. Miller asked her, do you have the paper of the powder that you gave him? Y ella le dijo that she had thrown it away.
Of course she did. Because
So both doctors were like, okay, how can we prove otherwise, right? So they concluded that Matt had died of a cerebral hemorrhage, which I'm sure he did, but caused by something else,
Cerebral hemorrhage. That sounds hemorrhage. That sounds a little bit like what the babies died of.
No, one was too much fluid in the brain.
Yeah, but yeah.
Or
is it a coinky dinky?
Yeah.
Okay.
And because both policies were in effect when Mads died, Belle cashed out on both insurance
on
policies.
$5,000.
Which in today's money would be over $150,000.
That's a lot of money.
Mads was laid to rest 3 days after on August 2nd of 1900.
Oh, I just can't believe you just kill like your partner like that. You've been together how long? And you just be like, I need
They
these
got married in
$5,000.
1884. Yeah, so he was buried or just put next to the other infant children that had passed.
Oh, pobrecito.
Yeah. Now, Belle thought that it was best to start fresh somewhere new.
Of course she did.
So she and her 3 kids moved to La Porte, Indiana. Now we're in La Porte. In November of 1901. It's so crazy to think like fucking 1900s.
Bitch,
like,
but also then so he died in the 1900s,
yeah.
right? And so then it took her a year, pues sí tuvo que juntar el dinerito que le iban a dar, ¿verdad?
Like I said, it was in November of 1901, and La Porte was it was in Indiana, but it wasn't far from Illinois or Chicago. It was only like an hour away. And with the money that she had from the life insurance policy, she bought a farm on the outskirts of town on McClung Road. So it was like 30 acres.
Damn, 30 acres.
Now, Belle was back in the dating game.
Oh my God, this girl did not waste time.
And she knew exactly who she wanted to marry next.
Holy shit.
And she married him.
Damn, must be nice. Well, I wouldn't have married like somebody has a lot of money and
and your husband agrees.
And my husband agrees. So can we find him and make it happen? Wink.
Belle married Peter Gunness on April 1st of 1902.
So did she still have all the other kids with her? Okay.
Peter Gunness was no stranger to Belle. Actually, about a decade earlier, he rented a room in Mads and Belle's home in Chicago. So les rentaba cuarto.
Oh, so le dijo, hey, ya vente, ya se murió mi marido.
No, he left in 1895 and he met somebody, got married, started his own family. But his wife, who was also named Jenny, actually died during childbirth and she was giving birth to their second daughter.
Oh.
So ella se murió. So he was also a widower with children.
Widower.
Sadly, tragedy struck the now Gunness family.
How? What the fuck? No digas que se murieron las niñas.
5 days after Peter and Belle got married, Peter's youngest daughter, who was 7 months, died.
No.
The cause of death was given as, quote, edema of the lungs.
Oh, it sounds like
which is too many fluids in the lungs. Yeah. And the baby was shipped to Chicago también to be with the other children that Belle had lost.
¿Está juntando babies o qué vergas? What the fuck?
Now,
this doesn't sound right.
I don't think that Belle knew that when she married Peter, she would become a widow again. Or did she? No.
Don't tell me that she killed. I mean, allegedly.
In the madrugada, on December 16th, wasn't that one of your sister's birthday? And my niece's.
Yeah, my niece, your sister, my sister, and that's it. Yeah.
Eran como las 3 de la mañana. Belle mandó a Jenny to go knock on the neighbor's house, the Nicholsons, and to let them know that something had happened to Peter. Sir Swan era el nombre del papá de the neighbors.
Swan,
that was his name. And his son Albert fueron a la casa.
Not to be confused with the swans from Queen Elizabeth.
Yeah, que les prestó en Florida.
Just making sure.
So when they went running to the Gunnesses' home and saw the scene, Albert was sent by his dad to go get the doctor from town, Dr. Bowell.
Not Bowell. Not Bowell. Stop it.
And he was actually the town's coroner.
Oh, okay.
So
shit, they didn't waste time. They were like, well, you'll be the doctor and the coroner.
All in one.
All in one, Bobo winner. That's too much. I can't.
Dr. Bowell made it to the Gunnesses' home and he found Peter in the parlor in a long white nightshirt, face down, and there was blood on the floor. So Dr. Bowell could tell Peter had been dead for some time because the rigor mortis was setting in because he was starting to get super stiff.
Super stiff, yeah.
Yeah, and he had a wound on the back of his head and a broken nose.
Interesting.
Belle told Dr. Bowell that Peter had gone into the kitchen to get his shoes. And apparently...
Oh, because that's where we all keep our shoes.
Actually, yes.
What?
It was common to leave shoes near the stove to keep them warm.
No manches, I would be in trouble. Do you know how many shoes I have?
And as he was reaching down to pick them up, the meat grinder fell from a shelf above and hit him in the back of the head.
Right whenever he was bending over in front of it. Okay, that makes sense.
And as it fell, también estaba en la estufa, estaba un plato bien caliente. So as it was falling, it actually knocked the plate on Peter y lo quemó en su neck.
Todo eso.
And then Belle said that Peter was like disoriented and stuff, pero le dijo que estaba bien and that he was just gonna go rest for a little bit. And a few hours later, she found him tirado on the parlor floor.
Okay, so rewind. She can't even get her fucking life straight. So the meat grinder fell
from the shelf and hit him in the back of the head. No.
Knocked down another bowl, a hot bowl. Then the bowl hit all of this while he's grabbing his shoes.
Bending down.
Yeah. Okay. I just want to make sure.
So during the autopsy, Dr. Bowell noted that there were no burns from this hot thing that fell on his neck, but his nose was broken. And it could have been when, he was found on the parlor floor.
That's what I thought too. Maybe cuando se cayó. Yeah.
Yeah. Or it could have been caused by severe blows.
More than one?
Blows.
Wow.
The injury on the back of the head was the most significant. It was a, quote, a laceration through the scalp and external layer of the skull about an inch long.
Damn.
It went deep into the inner plate of the skull. And there was also intracardial hemorrhage.
I mean, whatever happened.
She made sure it was hemorrhage.
And not only that, she hit hard.
And that's the thing. She was a strong woman. She was like, she did manual labor growing up.
Oh, yeah. That's all she did. A milkmaid or whatever.
Yeah, and she was tall. She was very stout. They said she was like over 200 pounds. I
can relate.
And so Peter's cause of death was noted as, quote, shock and pressure caused by a fracture and hemorrhage, end quote. Now, honestly, Dr. Bowell didn't buy Belle's story.
As he shouldn't.
And thought it was us. Y también Albert, el hijo, el vecino, he thought the same. And he told his dad, and his dad was like, shut up. Like,
don't get involved. It's not our problem.
Yeah, we don't want to get,
We don't want that smoke. Si andan matando a ese hombre, ¿te imaginas qué nos va a hacer? No, we don't want that smoke.
Dr. Bobo decided to hold an inquest. And he questioned Belle and asked her to recount the story.
Okay.
Again.
Now not only is he a doctor, he's also a coroner. Now he's a detective too. Oh, shit.
And so she didn't waver from her story. Like, she stuck to her guns and just,
nothing changed.
Yeah, nothing changed. Then Dr. Bowell questioned 12-year-old Jenny.
Vámonos.
So her story matched her mom's, Belle's. The doctor just kind of thought that, her answers kind of matched Belle's, but it sounded like she was saying that because that's what she was told to say.
Yeah.
And he even went to ask Jenny about her mother's first husband, her Mads, and if she was in the house when he passed away. Y Jenny le dijo que, recounted what happened the day. I think she was outside playing with one of her friends. But from what she said, nothing was really suspicious. And then he even went to ask her if Mads had any life insurance policies and if he had left them any money. And to that, Jenny was like, dude, I don't know. Yeah. Literally. Mm-hmm. She's 12, After it had come out that Peter had passed because a meat grinder fell on his head and stuff like that.
Not the meat grinder.
People were suspicious of his death and weren't buying the story.
I mean, I'm sorry, but I don't believe that shit either.
But in the end, after the inquest that he held, Dr. Bowell couldn't find any concrete answers that pointed Belle to killing Peter. I mean, you can think it all you want, but...
I mean, if there's no, evidence?
Evidence. So in his final report on the case, Dr. Bowell concluded that Peter's death was essentially an accident and it was due to a fracture of the skull, like I mentioned earlier, and hemorrhage.
I feel like he was just kind of like, ya que pinches, might as well.
Por eso, you can't prove anything.
You can't prove anything, yeah.
Now, the official reporting didn't do much to calm the rumors going around town, though. I mean,
como dicen, si el piedras suenan es que si el río suena es que piedras lleva,
y también se te acaba morir la niña más chiquita de tu husband.
Eso está cabrón, güey. Yeah. Like, that's fucked up.
Months after Peter's death, a new baby joined the family.
Where the fuck is she getting these kids, bro? Like, just randomly.
Baby Philip. And honestly, bitch, nobody knows where he came from. Like, nobody knows where Philip came from.
Like, just random ass kids. Like, what the fuck?
A midwife had heard that, I think Jenny had said something, or it'd be like somebody at school would be like, yeah, my mom's going to bring a baby, or a baby's joining the family. So something along those lines. So
No se la robó la pinche hija.
a midwife heard. So she's like, okay, maybe she's going to have a baby. Let me go ask her if she needs help, with the delivery. So cuando llegó a la farm, she found that the baby had already been born, bathed, and dressed. And then when a neighbor heard of the news, they went to see if Belle needed anything. They thought que a lo mejor estaba en bed tirada con el baby. But no, they found her washing clothes or chasing pigs. And
that sounds like something I would do.
And she was 43. So it's not like she was a spring chicken, I mean,
We are spring chickens, bitch.
Yeah,
Yo estoy bien joven, pendeja.
Bitch, you're not even in your 40s.
No,
Shut up.
but my sister is, and she's going to tell you she's really joven.
And is she thinking about having kids, though?
Is she chasing around pigs, though?
No, but did
Probably
she
not.
just pretend to have a child?
Yeah, like random ass kid just, I have a child now.
But I feel like nobody asked, but everybody just kind of knew that baby Philip was adopted, because they're like, he didn't even look like a newborn.
What the fuck?
He looked like an old newborn, not a newborn.
Oh, this is not right. This story is crazy.
Just as a new child had joined the family, another one would be leaving it.
No, please don't tell me she killed. Oye, y luego, pero esto no está bien.
Now, remember, Peter had another daughter. Remember, he had 2 daughters. Y la chiquita es la que se murió. The 7-month-old.
¿Cuánto duró con Peter casada?
8 meses.
Nada más 8 meses.
Sí.
Nomás lo que estuvo la señora que parió. Y también Peter, porque luego se casó, amiga.
Well, you're lonely, bro. You have 2 daughters. You kind of, I think that's like the thing. You want to bring a woman into the,
Well, sí, pero I want to know if he had any money to his name.
Okay, so Peter, like I just said, had another daughter. Her name was Swanhild. And
Not Swanhild.
She was 5.
Okay.
Well, her uncle, Gus, el hermano de Peter, was sus of his death, like everybody else in town was.
Yeah, I'm sus.
And he was concerned for his niece because he knew that Peter had taken out a $2,500 life insurance policy, and the beneficiary was his daughter, Swanhild.
What the fuck?
He made his way to the farm.
Yeah.
And he saw that his niece was okay, and asked Belle for the money for his niece. Y esta le dijo that Peter, before he died, had turned in the policy to a mining company for stocks. And that if stocks ever turned out any type of money, it would make Swanhild a rich child. And he was like, okay, that was common back then. And he was like, okay, cool. Where's the paperwork? Y esta le dijo...
First of all, the girl's name is Swanhild.
Swanhild. I think that's... her name was Brynhild. They were from Norway.
Oh,
so
that's a thing. Okay,
I'm assuming.
Okay.
I'm assuming.
I don't
Sorry, but yeah. I mean, if it is, let us know. If it's not, tell us to shut the fuck
If
up.
anybody knows if that's a thing, that is really cool. But I'm just saying Swanhild.
It's just different.
It's different, yeah.
To us. So, esta no le pudo dar los papers.
Pues no había, güey. No había
Por eso no
papers.
había.
No había papers.
Right? But he
No
was
había.
like, no, you know what? I can't give you any papers, but stay here with me and run this farm alongside of me. And, he was like, nah, bitch.
Nah, I'm good,
Not
bruh.
like that, but he declined, right?
He's like,
and then
nah,
he went
I'm
on to
good, bruh.
say que she gave him like evil eyes.
Like you don't want to be.
Like I don't want to say you're next, but
Wow, that's so crazy.
But he told her that he would stay a couple of days, right? And then he did. And then un día cuando Belle got up, she found that Gus had left the farm and taken Swanhild with him.
He's like, fuck this shit. I'm taking her with me.
He's an MVP.
Yeah.
He probably...
Is he the bad bitch of the story?
No, I mean, in Swanhild's case, he's a bad bitch of her life.
Really?
Yeah.
Because she was gonna. Boop.
Yeah. Especially if her dad had left her $2,500 policy.
Yes, for sure.
So now, obviously, running a whole ass farm is hard work, I'm sure, especially if not just, let's say it's you and your husband or you have help, but now you're just a woman without a husband and you have to do everything and you have like 4 kids and stuff.
Hopefully she didn't get, let me get rid of a few of these kids right here real quick.
She probably couldn't because you have to help her. Not just kidding.
Yeah, for real, man. That's crazy.
And she would hire like farmhands that would help around the farm. But she needed somebody that was like el hombre, like would help her, help her run the farm beside her,
She needed somebody beside her.
So she decided to put out an ad. And it was an actual like multiple Norwegian newspapers across the Midwest. And it read, quote, "A woman who owns a beautifully located and valuable farm in first-class condition wants a good and reliable man as a partner in same." Some little cash is required and will be furnished first-class security, end quote. So that was her ad.
She had an ad, bitch.
Yeah, and if anybody was interested, they just needed to, correspond with her, send her letters right back. Now, she did receive, letters, people responding to the ad, but no one actually knew how many, like even till now, like how many actually wrote to her that were interested. Now, men would show up, but then they up and leave, according to Belle. And she had farmhands that helped too, like I just said earlier. And Emil Greening was the current farmhand at that time.
Yeah.
In 1907. But he quit in June of that year because, see, Emil, I think that's how you say his name, E-M-I-L. Emil. Uh-huh. Emil liked Jenny.
Oh.
Pero Jenny had left for California in December of 1906.
How old was Jenny?
She was 16.
Oh.
Yes, she was going to start college. So su mom la mandó para Cali y be like, no,
vaya, órale, váyase para allá.
So he didn't care to be there anymore. Ya no tenía con,
so he was there for Jenny.
They were friends and he liked her. Yeah. So he was like, well, me voy. So he left. He stopped working. Belle then hired Ray Lamphere in July. And he was a drunk, but a decent carpenter when sober.
Oh,
and
okay. Well, I mean, I know that sounds good.
Yeah. When he went drinking at the saloons.
Not the saloons.
The saloons. He would tell his drinking buddies that he was also Belle's lover.
Oh, shit.
He was 30, I believe.
Oh, shit.
And she was older. No, I think he was 11 years she was 11 years his senior. So, yeah. So he was like early 30s.
So basically, that's like his sugar mama.
Yeah. Yeah. Eso le estaba diciendo a sus little buddies.
So él andaba, pues, como quien dice, presumiéndola.
Sí, porque también decía que ella le rogaba que se casara con ella. And le daba regalos, expensive gifts.
It sounds like, what's her face from our last case? Que le compraba...
a su boyfriend.
Not our last case, the case before
Didi Moore.
Yeah. Didi Moore, yeah. Mm-hmm. If you haven't heard it, go check it out.
Todos estos regalos que le daba, he would show them off to his friends, pues, to watch, a nice coat and stuff.
He's like, I got money for drinks.
So Belle and Ray were actually seen together, like in her little buggy, like with her horses and stuff in her carriage, throughout the fall of 1907. Like I just said, they were going to town together in the wagon, and they'd walk down the street.
Not the wagon,
in the wagon, girl.
Not the wagon.
But that wouldn't last long. Well, at least not as long as...
Ya le metió una pinche muerte. Ya lo mató, la verga. Ya lo mató.
Because on January 3rd of 1908, Andrew... I'm probably going to say his last name bad. I'm sorry. Helgelian?
Yeah, I don't know, because I can't read.
He arrived at Laporte and Belle's farm. So on January 3rd, llegó Andrew.
Okay.
Andrew was a wheat farmer from South Dakota and had responded to Belle's ad in the newspapers. And they had began corresponding back and forth in the summer of 1906.
Ooh, okay. This is kind of like a new age, like an old age. ¿Cómo se llama este? When you're like DMing each other and shit.
Yeah.
Okay.
So they had been sending letters back and forth for 18 months.
A su madre. So she was, okay, Miss Belle. I see you.
In the letters sent by Belle, she painted Laporte as a place of golden opportunity. With it being so close to Chicago, telling him that the rich people in Chicago were building their summer homes in Laporte, and, buying land was an investment, and you could rent your land to these companies that were building these people's summer homes, and you just make a shit ton of money off renting them that land, and you wouldn't really have to worry about anything. And she told him to take out all of his money, sell all of his shit, come to Laporte and invest it with her in the farm, and they would be running the farm together, but not to tell anybody.
Oh, okay, keep it to yourself. Okay, yeah. That makes sense. Uh-huh.
Now, the letters ended up turning romantic, of course.
Oh my God. You imagine that's like sexy, but de aquí que llega el sexy, ya te valió verga, güey.
So Belle described to Andrew the domestic life that they would have on the farm and all the good things that she could cook.
She's selling herself.
Yeah.
She's selling herself. Okay.
That she would do anything for him.
What?
And Andrew was like, yeah, también. He was interested.
Yeah, I mean.
But something always came up. Like, he'd be like, okay, I'm gonna go. Y luego something would come up and he couldn't.
Was he ghosting her for real or no?
No, something, I think his mom ended up dying and I think she was in Norway. So yeah, something always did come up.
Hopefully she didn't.
Still, they kept sending letters back and forth. And then Belle told him that she was going to wait for him forever.
Wow.
And that she was fixing up the home to make it comfortable for him. And that he was her best friend. And such.
Wow. Pero porque viene con dinero, compa.
So cuando Andrew llegó, Belle kicked Ray to the curb.
Like, Bo, you gotta go.
Like, even now, I think the farmhand se quedaba on the second floor of the house. And she told him he could go sleep on the farm because that room was going to be Andrew's now.
Wow. That's some
On the
fucked
barn.
up shit,
Yeah.
bro. That's some fucked up shit. O sea, de que ya vino alguien mejor. He has money.
He has money. You're just a
have
farmhand.
none,
You're a drunk.
And you're a drunk and you're young. You're a young whippersnapper. You gotta go.
Yeah. And then Andrew, he's also a farmer from South Dakota. He can run the farm along. Like we're like equal, I guess, in her eyes. So on January 6th, Belle and Andrew went to the bank so he could cash out 3 certificates of deposits he had from his bank in South Dakota.
Kind of like a check.
Like a cashier's check, I guess.
Okay.
Or the money had to be actually approved or sent from his bank in South Dakota. So then they would wire the money to the bank in Porte, and then he would be able to cash out. And it took a couple of days for that to happen.
I'm sure it did.
And when they did go pick up,
I wonder, like, what did he think? Like, she just wanted to have the money at the house. Like, why is she asking me for that? You know, what went through his mind?
when they went to cash out the money, like they even told her, the cashier, the teller, and even they're like, hey, do you want like a cashier's check or something, like a money order instead of cash? Because they're like, that's too much money for you to just take in cash. She's like, no, I want cash. It was $2,839, which would be about $75,000 today.
Damn, you imagine?
She was like, cash.
But the thing is, like, I just don't understand, like, what went through his mind. Like,
I mean, I think that when you're writing or communicating with somebody that long, and I think like you're
He
both
trusted her, right?
Yeah, you're both older, like you guys want to build
settle
this
down.
life. Yeah.
Okay. All right.
Now, back in South Dakota, Asle, I actually pulled up how to pronounce his name because I was going to say like aisle, like go down the aisle,
Como
but it's
Isle.
Asle because it's with an ASLE. Asle.
Oh, man. You know what? You just know all the languages, don't you?
Not all of them.
Okay.
So Asle, el brother de Andrew, was getting worried because his brother hadn't returned. Andrew told him...
porque no le dijo a nadie. Sí, cierto.
That's the thing he did. Andrew told his brother that he was going to be gone for a week.
Oh, so he was like,
And it was about 10 days. And he was worried.
He kind of was like, I have something fishy about this. Okay.
Yeah. And then he's like, I didn't get any communication from him. I don't know if his plans changed or anything. So he got worried. After many days had passed, Andrew's room back in his home in South Dakota got searched. And they found letters from Belle.
Mm-hmm.
Asle now knew where to write and ask about his brother. So no one really knows what happened. Pero Ray stopped working for Belle on February 3rd of 1908.
So how many days is that?
So he was the farmhand, remember? He just worked on the farmhand, but he stopped, and this was in January.
Oh, okay, yeah.
Pero en febrero, he stopped working.
So he left from there. Okay.
Yeah.
Porque ya iba a llegar Andrew.
No, porque ya había llegado, remember?
Yeah,
llegó a month before on the 3rd, January 3rd.
Okay.
And then Ray quit or stopped working for Belle on February.
Got it.
So some rumors says that Belle hadn't paid him, and so he quit. And others said that she fired him for whatever reason. Quien sabe, but he left the premises in such a hurry that he left all of his personal belongings there. So
he just got up and left.
Yeah.
But
so he went back for his shit.
I was about to say, like, what about like all the presents and
like
shit?
the book said that he got he I think went to talk to a lawyer and they're like, no, you need to go grab your stuff. So he tried to go get his things a couple of times. The first time Belle kicked him off the property and then wrote several letters to the county sheriff. His name was Albert Smootser.
Not the Smootser.
Telling him that she was being harassed by Ray.
What the but that's his stuff though.
A month later, so in March, Ray was on her property again. I don't know what he was doing there. I think he was just drunk and roaming around. Pero she caught him and he was arrested. So he was fined $1 plus costs. Through all of this was kind of happening simultaneously. Belle received a letter from Asle.
Okay.
And asking about Andrew. And she wrote back on March 27th, telling him that she didn't know where he was either.
What the fuck? He was just with you, ho?
According to Belle, Andrew told her that he was going to go look for another one of their brothers and that he was a gambler. And first he went to Minneapolis para buscarlo, no lo encontró. And then he went to Chicago y New York. And that he even heard that he might have gone to Norway. So él lo iba a buscar, regardless of where his brother was. That she shouldn't write back to him until she heard from him again.
Oh, pues, how convenient.
Again, all of this was happening at the same time. Ray was arrested again for trespassing in early April. And the trial was set for April 15th. And he was found guilty and fined again $19.
Damn,
I think
it went from 1 to 19, bro?
And I think his employer at the time, he was already working elsewhere. He paid for his fines. Belle had him arrested again a week later for trespassing. And he had trial again.
What the?
But this time, the date and time that she said he was on her property was actually proven to be a lie by other witnesses that had seen him elsewhere 6 miles away.
Now she's being toxic, bro.
So Ray was acquitted of all the charges and she had to pay all the fees.
Good.
But not only that, through all of this, she was trying to get him certified, like they wanted to certify him as being insane. Like she was drawing up paperwork. She wanted to have.
What's wrong with this bitch?
She even, I think his doctor, he was like, yeah, I've seen Ray for like the past 5 years. Yeah, he may be a drunk and disorderly, but he's not crazy. Okay. So her attempts failed to have it like on paper that he was insane.
Damn.
Ashley was also still writing to Belle. He was not giving up on his brother, asking her for any additional details that she might have forgotten to tell him and or about the last time she communicated with Andrew. Y otra vez le dijo what she knew and that he left on either January 15 or 16. Y que le dijo para dónde iba a ir y qué iba a hacer, buscar al hermano.
Le dijo otra vez lo mismo.
Otra vez lo mismo. So she was like, you know what? I don't know where he is at. And I don't know why he's not writing to or why he hasn't written to you. So Ashley was like, bro, I'm not backing down. No. That's my bro. And he wrote to her in a letter. He wasn't telling her anything. But he's like, well, I'm going to come to the Porte. And
he should have already showed up.
And start my search there. And then she was like, okay, I'll help in any way that I can. Belle would not get a chance to meet Ashley and help him look for Andrew.
Why? What did she do?
On April 28th, around 4 a.m., Joe Maxson, who replaced Ray as the farmhand, woke up to the smell of smoke. And he got up fast and opened the door of his room and saw thick smoke and flames. And he knew that he had to get to Belle and the kids. Because remember how I told you the second floor was for the farmhands?
Yeah.
Well, there was a door separating that part of the house from the actual family of the house. So he got to the door and he was pounding it and he was yelling fire and he tried to kick it, but nothing. He couldn't hear anybody. He said that there was too much smoke and he was having a hard time breathing. So he got out. Mm-hmm. So he went out the back stairs and to the outside of the house. And then he went to the main front door of the house and was trying to hack it open with an axe.
He was trying to get to them kids.
Yeah. And as he was trying to hack the front door, he says that where his room was, he said that the roof collapsed right where he had been at just recently.
Holy shit, he could have died.
Mm-hmm. Now, neighbors, of course, came and helped once they saw the flames. And they managed to grab a ladder and peer into a couple of the windows on the side of the house donde estaban los niños, or el cuarto de Belle. I think they checked 2 windows and they were just able to see beds, but the beds were empty. So Joe went to go get the... He's my friend.
He's my friend, Jay.
Mi amigo Joe, Jay. He went to go get the county sheriff, Smootzer. And by the time they made it back, well, I don't know how long it took them to get into town. By the time they grabbed their horses and made their way back, there were only parts of 3 walls left standing.
Shit. Se quemó rápido.
Mm-hmm. It wasn't until later in the day when the flames had died down that they were able to search through the debris for any bodies. And it was at 3:45 p.m. when a shovel hit something soft. 4 bodies had been found. The 3 children and that of a woman. Mm-hmm. But the woman's body was missing its head.
Holy shit.
People in town knew of Belle's and Ray's issues, those times.
They thought it was Ray.
So, yeah, pretty much he was the only suspect and he was arrested. So during the
babies, though.
During his interrogation, he said that he had nothing to do with it and that he spent the night at Elizabeth Smith's house, whom he rented a room from. He woke up after 3 a.m. because he had to make a 6-mile hike to John Wheatbrook's farm to go work. Or he was a relative or something like that. And on his way there, le quedaba de pasada. And that he saw flames coming from the farm. And they asked him, well, why didn't you alert anybody? Or why didn't you scream or anything? He was like, well, I didn't want to involve myself. I just hoped that they were going to make it out, because if I said something, they were going to think it was me that started the fire.
They still think it's you, stupidas.
Now, Elizabeth Smith corroborated his story about being in, that she saw him after 4 a.m.
Okay.
But even then, like, people in town still thought that he had done it. So the county sheriff thought that by taking Ray to the morgue to see the bodies, it was bad. So the bodies were like charred. I'm not going to go into detail because it's really fucking sad. They showed him the remains that, you know, he would confess or something. But no. Either way, Ray was charged, and he pleaded not guilty and was held without bond. So volunteers still went back to dig through the rubble to see if they could find the woman's missing fucking head.
Her whole ass head.
But no such luck. And to this day, it has never been found.
Holy shit.
So Asle arrived in La Porte on May 3rd after finding out the news, because this shit hit the news and everybody knew, right?
Wow.
About the deadly fire. And when he arrived, he went to see the county sheriff, Smootzer, and told him about his quest in finding his brother and that he had been seen in La Porte with Belle.
Uh-huh.
And the sighting was confirmed by the bank teller that saw them together. So Sheriff Smootzer drove him to the property. He was like, maybe you can find something. If your brother was there, you can find like a clue or something, right? So llegaron, y ahí estaba Joe Maxon, the farmhand, and a neighbor, Daniel Hudson. And they were still with shovels digging through the rubble. Asle les preguntó if there were any holes or dirt that had been dug up sometime in the spring. Joe Maxon le dijo que sí, that he remembered that he had helped Belle throw, quote, rubbish into a pit by the hog lot. So con los pigs, I guess.
Con los cuches.
Mm-hmm. Marranos, puercos. So with shovels in their hands, los tres headed to the site and started to dig. 4 feet down, their shovels hit something hard in a gunny sack. When they saw the sack, it had a tear, and they saw a human neck through the tear. So Joe went to go get Sheriff Smootzer and the coroner, Charles Mack, and other medical professionals. And carefully, they brought the body parts out of the sack. And it wasn't like anything official, but Asle was like, yeah, that's my brother.
Mm-hmm.
Coroner Mack determined that Andrew had put up a fight. He had defensive wounds, and on the inside of his left wrist, he had 2 deep cuts to the bone, like when you put your hands up, like to cover your face. Mm-hmm. And he had the joints on every finger in his right hand chopped off.
Damn.
And in it, at least en todo lo que quedaba, he had short brown curly hair that he had pulled off whoever had murdered him. Joe was asked if there were any other holes, just like that one, or the one where Andrew was found. And he pointed literally a couple of feet away, and they started digging. And when they got to 3 feet down, they came across multiple body parts.
Shit.
Naked torsos, heads, arms, and legs. And it ended up being 4 victims, 2 men, 1 woman, and 1 female adolescent. So each victim was divided into 6 pieces. I know that sounds really bad to say. And the adolescent female skull still had some hair. And that was Jenny.
No!
Yeah.
She killed Jenny.
Jenny Olsen.
Wow.
Yeah.
I thought she was in California.
And that's what she said.
The fuck? What a crazy bitch.
The digging continued. And so after, this is the second hole that they dug. 5 feet from that hole, they started digging again. And 3 feet down, another body was found.
Holy shit, this bitch.
It was bones, and they were wrapped in burlap, and all the other ones were también como wrapped in burlap. The skull had a 3-inch gash. So more digging ensued under that one. They found 12 pairs of men's shoes. And under them, under the shoes, a heap of more human bones.
Shit.
There were 3 bodies there. Each one was wrapped in gunny sacks and with quicklime, and had been poured in the gunny sacks too.
For them not to smell, yeah.
Yeah, quicklime. It's a chemical, and I kind of like it's like used in production of steel, iron, and like in the mining industry. So it just kind of like takes the flesh off your bones, pretty much.
Oh, okay, nice.
So the bodies had been hacked with an axe at the joints, and the bones had been crushed at the end as if they had been hit with hammers after dismemberment. And more bodies would continue to be found in the days that followed.
Mas?
On May 8th, another soft spot was dug up and a wooden box was found with a gunny sack inside of it, and quicklime was oozing out of it too. Exposed bones were in the bag and in a skull with some dark hair strands sticking to it. So Coroner Mack concluded that the bones were that of a male. Women's shoes were also found, 2 pairs. More digging happened, and another mass of bones were found in the pit. So to Coroner Mack, those bones were that of a woman.
Okay.
Based on like what I could gather, about 11 bodies would be found on the farm and other fragments of bones, but you could just never, you don't know if they were human bones or
animals.
Or so it was just, you know,
just a shitload of bones.
So this, it didn't even become like just like a nationwide story. It was worldwide. Like people knew about this. And at first they thought that, you know, she was, when they first heard about the fire, they thought she was heroic because where they were found, the woman's body and the 3 kids, wherever they were found, it kind of looked like she gathered them up from the rooms and they were trying to make to make it out. But now after all these fucking bodies came, you know, they're like, especially now that, you try to save other kids, but you killed your oldest, you know? Dude,
that shit's crazy. Especially lied that she was in college. Like, why?
And why did you kill her?
Why did you kill her?
Exactly.
For what? Like, did she know something that you didn't want to know? Or,
you know what? I hadn't thought about that.
Yeah. Because think about it. She didn't have any money.
She was 16.
She was 16. Like, what else? She probably knew something and questioned her. And she was like, oh, you got to go, bitch.
While all of that was still going on, se hizo un espectáculo. It's fucking crazy. Kind of fucking morbid. About 16,000 people ended up making it to La Porte.
To look.
To see how they were digging the bodies. Like digging. They were fucking selling popcorn, bitch. There was vendors. They were having picnics.
That is so fucked up.
They were like grabbing fake bones from somewhere saying that they had been found on the farm. They were taking pictures of the bodies and selling them and shit.
What the hell? ¿Qué se creían que era pinche circo? ¿Qué vergas?
Yeah. It's really sad.
That is so sad.
So I
guess Laporte had never seen anything like it.
I guess the world hadn't seen anything like it. Not from coming from a woman. Not from a woman. So all of that was going on. Y llegó una carta addressed to Belle from a man named Carl Peterson in Wisconsin. Era de Wisconsin el señor. And he was telling her in the letter that he didn't have a lot of money to meet her requirements per her ad, pero that he was, quote, respectable and worthy. And he was responding to a letter that he had received from Belle a week earlier.
También se lo iba a chingar.
So all this time, she was still running that ad.
She was still running
That's why they said that they don't know how many
people she actually, wow, that's some crazy shit.
To the LaPorte authorities, they concluded that Belle was baiting these men with false promises to get them to the farm where she would take their money and then murder them.
But my question is these people that want to, what did you want to buy?
They were going to invest it, pues.
Sí, pues, pero let's say that I'm land. Okay. Pero let's say that I'm like, let me go get all this money from this hoe, right? Or whatever. And then what do you just want to buy land?
Yeah. I mean, what else? A wagon?
But then kill yourself?
What do you mean kill yourself?
But then why did she die?
Who?
Belle.
Hold on.
Oh.
I thought you were talking about the men.
No way.
So like I said, she would bait these people with false promises to get them to the farm where she would take their money and then murder them. She would actually poison them with either arsenic or chloroform, which Ray said that she actually lo mandó a que lo comprara multiple times, but she just didn't think anything of it.
Not the arsenic.
And after the men died, then she dismembered them and buried them.
She didn't give no fucks.
Now, 2 young men, sadly, Oscar and Matthias Budsberg, made their way to LaPorte from Iowa after reading about the story. They were there to...
Iban al circo, go get popcorn and shit.
They were there to view the remains of someone that might be their dad.
The
remains that they went to go view were confirmed to be that of their dad. I think it's Ole, O-L-E, or Ole.
Mm-hmm.
And Ole had sold his farm to his 2 sons and told them that he was going to go to LaPorte and get married.
Wow.
And sadly, a lot more people would come and try to identify...
Find their family members.
Their family members, shit. And a lot of them actually were never identified.
That's so messed up. Oh, I mean, of course, at the time, but you don't think that people could bring those bodies out now.
But if you were only fucking doing like a bone here, a bone there, you know, like.
Oh, right. You're right.
Now, sightings of Belle were reported from all over. Indiana, Minnesota, Colorado, Missouri, Utah, Canada, Chiapas, Mexico.
Not Chiapas. This bitch went down to the
and
hometown.
many other places. Like there was una señora that was even arrested in Syracuse, New York, because they thought she was Belle, and then ended up not being her, obviously. But she was like, "Yo, what the fuck? I didn't do anything." And a lot of people believed, after finding all these bodies, that she was still alive and faked her death.
Really? Because they could never find that head of that girl. So, yeah.
Now, one person that didn't believe that she was alive, like that she actually died, was Sheriff Smootser, the county sheriff. And to prove it, he hired an expert miner, like a miner, to search through the ashes in the area where the body was found to see if Belle's teeth could be found. Because she actually had like a lot of work done in her mouth. And her dentist were like, if y'all find that, I'll be able to identify it immediately. I think she had 4 gold crowns and 4 porcelain teeth reinforced by 18 karat gold. So yeah, you'll be able to fucking tell right away that it's her. Now, dental bridges were found on May 19th, and Dr. Norton identified them as Belle's. So some people
But she could have taken off her dentures.
Some people weren't convinced, you're right, that Belle didn't remove them because they even, one of the, in court, in the trial later, they asked one of the doctors, like, hey, how would she have been able to remove them? And they're like, the actual bridges that she had in her mouth were tied to one actual tooth that was hers. And if to take that out, she would have to pull her own tooth. But they're like, yeah, I'm sure she would have done that. She's done everything else.
She's cut people up, motherfucker. Like, damn.
So, like, yeah, some people believe that she did remove them and threw them in the fire. But also, it was odd that the fire was strong enough to completely incinerate her skull, which they said that the fire was not strong enough to do that. So it was weird that they couldn't find the head, or at least the skull, but not damage her fake teeth.
True.
They're like, yeah, they were found and the fire wasn't strong enough to melt down the gold, but at least the porcelain would have been like cracked or something. And they weren't nothing that bad. And actually, that would plant, I think, personally, doubt in the juror's mind during the trial for Ray. So after finding the teeth, Coroner Mack filed his report and concluded that the body of the headless woman was that of Belle Gunness and that she had been murdered. Now, 2 days later, a grand jury actually indicted Ray Lamphere on charges of arson in the first-degree murders of Belle Gunness and her children. During the trial, the prosecution argued that Ray killed Belle. At first, it might have been jealousy, but then it turned into something else. Payback.
Yeah.
It is reported that on January 14th, Belle sent Ray to Michigan City, which was 12 miles away from LaPorte, to meet John Moe, a cousin of hers, for a horse trade. Y esta le dijo, okay, si él no llega esa noche, you have to spend the night and wait for him until the next morning. So cuando llegó Ray, Joe no estaba. Ray had taken his friend with him, his drinking buddy, John. Y they're like, well, he's not here. And Ray was like, well, I'm not going to spend the night here. I'm going to go back to the farm. So he was like, but I'm just going to go see what's going on at the farm. I'll meet you out later at a saloon. Y John, the drinking buddy friend, said that Ray never met him up at a saloon. It is believed that Belle sent Ray away that night because it was the night that she planned to murder Andrew. And when he made his way back to the house, when he wasn't supposed to, he caught her in the act. So she offered him money to help dispose of the body and keep it quiet.
Yeah.
But she didn't give it to him all up front. That's why he kept on showing back up on her property those post couple of months, asking her for the money. So then that's why he killed her and chopped off her head and then set the fire to cover it up. That's what the prosecution, the state was there. That's what they were presenting. Now, the defense argued that Belle was still alive, like many other people thought, and that she faked her own death because Asle was going to come to LaPorte in search of his brother, and she wasn't going to be able to explain away everything in regard to his whereabouts.
I don't think so.
And she needed a way to get out of the mess that was about to unfold. So she planned the fire. And the day before the fire, along with buying large quantities of groceries, she also bought 2 gallons of kerosene and a 5-gallon can. And she had to borrow actually a can from somebody there because she told them that she couldn't find hers at her house. And actually, when she got home, Joe helped carry the oil can and stored it under the little door que está debajo de las escaleras. Also, she didn't just buy those things the day before. She actually went to go drop her will. She went to a lawyer.
Oh, shit.
And she's like, if anything happens to me, I want everything to go to my children. But if my children die too, I want you to give my shit to charity.
What?
And actually, the charity that she left everything to, because her children did die, I think in today's money, it would have been equaled over $1 million. But they're like, no, we don't want her blood money. Mm-hmm.
They said, nope.
They're like, no, keep your shit.
Wow.
Yeah. So they were like, why was she specifically note in her will, if my children die too after I die? Which is weird.
Yeah.
Right? The prosecution called Dr. Mayer to testify, and he was the one that actually performed a postpartum on little Philip.
Okay.
He went into detail about the state of Philip's body, which is really, really bad. So I'm not going to go into detail. And when he was asked, based on his professional opinion, what he believed was Philip's cause of death, and what he answered didn't help the state's case because they needed to prove that the fire caused by Ray is what killed the kids. And yeah. So Dr. Mayer answered, and he said that he believed Philip's cause of death was, quote, contraction of the heart, like some case of poisoning.
Okay.
From the examination of the stomach, I would say that the contraction was probably due to strychnine. I think that's how you say it. And strychnine is a pesticide and highly toxic. There was another doctor, Dr. Haynes, and he examined the stomachs of Belle and two of the kids. He got them in a jar, and he said that they had worked so decomposed that they all just kind of mixed together and looked like mud. And yeah, and he was able to test some of the, I think one of the walls was still intact or something. And he tested it, and it came back that he found a lot of arsenic and a lot of strychnine. Oh. And actually, arsenic was used in the embalmment after the death. But the strychnine is strychnine is not used in embalmment. Dr. Hines also, he was like, yeah, all the stomachs were mixed together. I couldn't tell you if it was from one stomach, two stomachs, or three. Yeah, But not only that, Joe stated that the teeth weren't found in the ashes. He said that this minor, que según no se encontró, he pulled them out of his vest.
What the hell? I don't think those were her teeth.
And then, but they tried to get the minor to come testify, but he was MIA. No lo pueden encontrar.
Se fue el cocho.
Yeah. Now, in the end, Ray would only be found guilty of arson and not murder.
But they can't even say that he did the arson.
Right.
Okay.
But and I think that's what a lot of people are saying. Like, how are you going to convict him of arson but not murder?
Yeah, because
if he's convicted of arson, he should be convicted of murder because
they died. Yeah.
Right. And he was sentenced to 2 years in prison, and he actually died less than a year later of tuberculosis.
Oh, poor thing.
And actually, I know a lot of people were saying that he did confess, but I never actually read anywhere that he did confess. But there was a priest that later, after he had died, said that he got really close to Ray when he was in jail, and that he confessed to him what happened. Que esa noche se fue a la casa con Elizabeth y que estaban borrachos, and that he went to look for the money. Y que no encontraron nada y que había prendido una vela y que no la apagaron y se fue. But él no prendió la vela para que se quemara la casa. Fue un accidente. Es lo que dijo el priest.
I don't know about that.
Yeah.
If that's the case, then where's her head?
And that's the thing. Like, and to this day, the exact number of Belle's victims is not known. Some people say it's an estimated either 20 more up to 40.
That's gross, dude.
And that's the case of Belle Gunness.
Oh my God. That's so
Do you
crazy.
think she faked her death?
Honestly, I think that she wanted to fake her death, and then she wanted to kind of make it seem like she was...
Because, I mean, there's a lot of things.
I think she planned a lot ahead of time. But I think que no le salió como ella quiso.
There's a lot of eyewitnesses, but like, how do you trust an eyewitness, right?
Yeah.
Because I think they said that they saw her 20 years after she had died still. Like, there were people saying that they saw her.
No, I don't think that it was her. But I do also think that I don't think that she did that to get away from Andrew's brother. I don't think so. I think that she was like, I don't care if he comes. Honestly, she would have killed him too.
Yeah.
Like, honestly, I don't think I think that it had...
There was a neighbor, but again, it's an eyewitness. She said that she saw somebody pick her up. Like she got in a buggy. Because I do think that body was not hers.
I believe that too. I for sure think that body was not hers. But for you to like this long and still not be able to find her like at all. I mean, she andaba en Chiapas la way, like what the
allegedly.
hell?
But I mean, because I don't think you're that stupid to fake your own death and not leave the fucking country. Like, you don't think that you would, why would you still stay in the Midwest?
And then keep your money here.
Yeah.
And write a will to give it to
but
the charity.
maybe she had money elsewhere.
Well, yeah, that's true because she did make a lot of money killing
I mean, she
people.
no estaba pendeja
No
tampoco, I'm
estaba
sure.
pendeja. But I'm just saying, like, I don't know. I just can't believe she killed her daughter, dude.
Jenny.
What?
But it's true, and I was thinking, I'm like, ¿por qué la mataría? But you're right, a lo mejor, like, dude, and she was so pretty. She had just turned 16. I'm going to show you a picture of Jenny.
Yeah.
Like professional pictures.
Look at her. She's so cute with the little... She was pretty. She was really pretty. Pobrecita.
Yeah. But yeah, that's today's case.
So
if you would like to let us know what you think, you can follow us on Instagram and send us a message at
Cafecito and Crime Pod, or you can send us an email to
cafecitoandcrimepod@gmail.com.
Welcome to all the new followers. Thank you everybody for your support. I want to get to 200 followers on Instagram. We're at 130.
Yeah, I'm sure we will.
Hopefully. So if anybody's listening, that you can at least tell anybody or, just, give us a little push out there and see if somebody else can follow us. I want to hit at least 200. And not all of them are our family members. All right. Well, thank you so much for listening. And we'll talk to you in the next one.
Bye.
Bye.